The sun scorched the volcanic slopes of Tenerife, as if the island itself were a living thing, burning with secrets and swallowed paths. Jay Slater had always loved a challenge. "No mug," his stepdad used to say, shaking his head at the boy's boldness, half proud, half worried. That same mix of pride and anxiety had echoed in his voice when the call came through. Jay was missing. It wasn't like him. Sure, Jay was impulsive, charming, quick-witted, always the one to suggest climbing a fence, taking the detour, or chasing a view nobody else dared reach. But he had a keen instinct for trouble and a gut that rarely failed him. "No mug," his stepdad repeated to the police, to the press, to himself, as if the words would cast a spell, summon Jay back. He's clever. He knows how to handle himself. But Tenerife wasn't the same as home. Its wild beauty was another beast entirely. Jay had set out for what was supposed to be an epic walk, an 8-hour journey from the remote party spot where he'd last been seen. Maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was the isolation. Maybe it was the very thing that drew him, the lure of the unknown, the unbeaten path, that betrayed him. Locals spoke of the Masca Valley like it was a dream and a curse wrapped together. Winding trails, sudden drops, and the kind of silence that weighed on your thoughts. That's where they said he might have gone, though no one was certain. His last known location flickered on the screen of a GPS tracker like a dying signal. After that, nothing. Jay's mother flew in first. She was a wreck, though she kept her voice steady, her chin up. His stepdad followed, holding on to hope like a lifeline, pacing every inch of the search zone. Helicopters scoured the ridges, dogs sniffed through the undergrowth, and volunteers scoured cliffsides in single-file lines. Still, the mountains gave nothing back. Each night, the wind whispered down the slopes, carrying stories, guesses, and fears. One theory said Jay had followed the wrong trail, taken a turn where he shouldn't have. Another claimed he may have accepted help from someone who didn't have help in mind. But his stepdad dismissed the idea of foul play out of hand. "Jay's not naive," he insisted. "He's no mug. Maybe cocky sometimes, but not stupid. He wouldn't just trust someone shady." But the island had a way of humbling everyone. What seemed like a quick shortcut on a map could spiral into a labyrinth of dry ravines and loose rock. What looked like a sure path might be an animal trail leading nowhere. Jay, fit and resourceful, might have thought he could manage the detour. Maybe he wanted the thrill of the trek, the story to tell when he made it back. He liked pushing limits, his mate said during one interview, voice cracking. But he always made it back. Always. The media swarmed like vultures in the early days, feeding on each fresh detail, until the story began to fade behind newer headlines. But Jay's stepdad stayed, kept walking the same dusty trails, asking locals, showing photos, sleeping late, waking early, haunted by the need to do something. "I know him," he'd tell anyone who listened. "I know how he thinks." He retraced steps he never walked with Jay, imagining what his son saw. The jagged cliffs, the twisted pines clinging to sheer faces, the deep silence between bird calls. He imagined Jay pushing forward, shrugging off fatigue, determined to beat the odds, maybe even enjoying the solitude at first. But hours stretch differently when you're alone in the wild. The mind plays tricks. Directions blur. And sometimes, you just don't realize how far you've gone until there's no turning back. On the 7th day, a piece of clothing surfaced. It was worn, sun-bleached. Could have belonged to anyone. It didn't offer the certainty the family was desperate for, but it relit the hope that had started to gutter. He might be sheltering somewhere, his stepdad said. Waiting it out. Injured maybe. But he's smart. He'll keep himself alive. The search narrowed and widened, shifted and stretched. Experts joined. Drones flew. A few false alarms spiked hearts only to leave them hollow again. Still no sign. A week turned to 2. The sun still scorched the land by day, and the cold crept in like a ghost each night. Then, one morning, while walking alone down a narrow switchback trail, Jay's stepdad found himself standing on a ledge that looked out over the valley. The wind howled softly, and the world below seemed infinite. He could almost see Jay standing there too, arms wide, grinning like an idiot, soaking it all in. He came this way, the man whispered, not because he knew, but because he needed to believe it. It wasn't just about the trail or the maps or even the facts anymore. It was about connection, about knowing someone so well that you could feel their footsteps even when they were gone. He's no mug, he repeated, quietly now, to the wind, to the trees, to the silence. He'll find his way back. And maybe he would. Maybe he was out there still, a little bruised but alive, figuring it out. Maybe the land had claimed him for a while, testing his resolve, watching his grit. Maybe Jay Slater, daring, stubborn, wild-hearted, was writing a story no one could yet see the end of. And until the final page turned, his family would keep searching. Not just for him, but for the echo of his laughter, the trail of his spirit, and the mark he left on every path he dared to walk. Because Jay wasn't just a kid who went missing.